Hello, I am live with a question from an awesome warrior, and that question was, Billy, what's your take on intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is a very interesting concept, and that is, there's a lot of different approaches to it, but it is the idea that you are taking long breaks between meals. Sometimes it's a day or more, sometimes it's 6 hours, sometimes all different in terms of how long between the meals. And I am going to give you my take on it. I am not an expert on intermittent fasting. I have experimented with it a bit myself, and I actually liked it. I think there were definitely some cool components to it. I don't know that I did an amazing job of tracking everything, but I tried my best, and I felt better. I got a little bit leaner, and again, felt good. I think it's a cool idea to kind of change things up, to maybe not always have to eat all the time. If you're like me, you just kind of feel like you have to eat. And so I think it's good to realize that we may have a little more control over that than we might realize. So I think it could be a great approach. I also know people who swear by it that I trust and respect, and they do really well with it. I think at the end of the day, my answer is very similar to a lot of questions that I get about different methods of eating. In fact, I was just at a party the other day and was talking to a great guy, who was asking me what I thought about a particular way of eating. And really, it boils down to a few things. I think almost any plan can work as long as common sense isn't completely thrown out the window, as it often is with some of these crazy diets. I think there are three things that you'll find among all successful people when it comes to nutrition and fitness and health. Because you can find healthy people in all cultures and all eating styles. I mean, you can find people that are super thin and super healthy and super fit and super strong. You could find these people that don't eat meat. I know people personally who don't eat meat, but they are super fit and they're super strong. I know people who eat a high-carb diet, and they're super fit, and they're super strong. I know people who eat a high-fat diet, and a low-carb diet, and a high-protein diet, and almost across the board, you can find people that are super healthy that eat that way. So for that reason, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all approach. I definitely think the concept of bio-individuality applies. This is the idea that different things may work for different people. You have to find what works for you. You have to get in tune with your body. You have to listen to your body. I think carbohydrates is a great example of that. Some people do fine with carbohydrates. Some people feel like if they eat a good amount of them, they're going to gain excess fat in the midsection. And that's something that you definitely want to consider. I think for most people, there are some general guidelines to follow. But those three things, if you're contemplating any kind of diet or eating program, but one of these three things are not in place, I don't think it really matters. I think as far as intermittent fasting, it's probably a better idea for somebody who is already in good shape and they just kind of want to take things up a notch. If you're new to the whole thing, you haven't been eating too healthy, it's probably not the best place to start. I think it's going to be too much of a challenge and you're not going to be able to stay with it. Those three things are portion control. So it's how much are you eating. That is a huge factor when it comes to fitness and weight loss. I don't care what program you're on. If you eat too much of it, you're gonna gain fat, and you're not going to be as healthy as you can be. So portion control is huge. Our plate sizes are increasing as time passes, and we're just eating more food than we need to. For most people, if they would just eat a little bit less, then they would be in much better shape. The second thing is it sounds so basic and so obvious, but many of us don't follow it. It's what that food is made of. So it's not just how much food, but it's what is that food made of. Is it processed garbage that's loaded with genetically modified fats and loaded with added sugar? I mean, it doesn't matter. If you're eating those kinds of foods, that's where you need to start. You should be eating whole, natural foods as much as possible. If you do that and you keep the portion sizes in check, you're going to be covered. Personally, I usually eat around 4 to 5 times per day. I've been doing it for a while. I have experimented with some other things, and that works for a lot of people. I've been doing that for years with people, recommending that. I've seen some people do better by eating more food earlier in the day and less food later in the day. I've seen that work in the real world with people that were kind of stuck. So there's definitely some different strategies and approaches that you can use, but the final one, and it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine when I'm talking to people about diet and exercise, and they don't exercise. You have to exercise. One of my favorite professors when I was in school for exercise and nutrition science, he said nothing will burn fat like physical exercise. And that's still true. That was about 10 years ago that he said that, but it's still true, and it probably will always be true in our lifetimes. Nothing burns fat like physical exercise. It all boils down to eating normal, appropriate portion sizes. That's a fistful of protein, a cupful of carbohydrates, a thumbful of fats. You stick with that. You stick with whole natural foods, and you can pretty much eat in whatever way you want. You can do it with fasting. You can do it with 3 meals. You can do it with 5 meals. If you stick to that and you exercise, you challenge your body a little bit more than it's used to. You do resistance training a few times a week. Add in some interval training or some cardio training, and you'll be good to go. I mean, there's more to the picture, but for the most part, those are the things that need to be in place. So what do I think of intermittent fasting? I think it's fine. If you want to go for it, give it a shot, but it should be done by somebody who's already in pretty good shape, looking to just experiment and mix things up. But more importantly are the principles of portion control, natural food selection, and regular exercise. Hope this helps. Let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree, if I made any point that you connected with. Would love to have you in our next 10-4 challenge. It starts, make sure I give you the right date. It starts on the 26th. I'm going to try and post a link. Would love to have you with us just to do some common sense things to help you get more out of life, to help you get more closer to your goals, to help you reach your potential, and to join our awesome, fun community. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your time and your attention, and we'll talk to you soon.